What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Wednesday Night Live, sewing our tactical gear here at Small Arms Combatives. If this is your first time seeing us, how this works is our viewers usually make comments. We'll have a discussion. We could talk about gear. I can answer some questions that follow along the lines of the tactical gear subject. If we don't have a lot of conversation going on, then you'll watch me sew whatever I choose to sew tonight. Tonight we're doing a multicam black sling. So this will be for like a rifle sling, or tactical rifle sling. So if you want to check that out, stay tuned. If you just want to enjoy good old fashioned sewing and how we do that over here, this is how we sew slings. So here we go. Sit back and enjoy the show. Hit that like button. We would appreciate that. If this is your first time watching our channel, maybe you've seen some of our other videos before and that's how you found us, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button. That really helps us out and everything like that. So we're going to be sewing some stuff in multicam black here for at least the next week. So we've been sewing some stuff in multicam black around here the past week or so. So we just kind of get around to doing everything in a rotation. Ain't this the thing? Like, we buy all this expensive webbing, so multicam black, and then they splice it. They literally will get to the end of a piece, tape it up just to finish a roll. This sucks, because now there's not a whole lot I can use that for. So I guess it can go in the scrap bin, which is a pile on the floor over here right now, and we'll figure out another use for that. So I'll use it as pals webbing or something when I need multicam black. It's not that difficult. It's just keeping up with it so that we don't have any scrap. But heck yeah, thanks for commenting and all that good stuff. Thank you for the comments. Hit that like button if y'all would, please. We're going to be sewing a rifle sling. This one here is in multicam black and all that good stuff. Done just a couple things in multicam black around here this week. I like multicam black, it's awesome. Everything that we sew has a template, and or we just measure it. We go by a set of directions around here, but that's our recipe right there. This is our template. We trace out pieces of the sling. This is going to be that closed cell foam, which is inside the padding for the sling. That way it's nice and comfy around our necks. And okay, we got a question here. What would you recommend using that for? It's a rifle sling. So we also sew tactical gear. A lot of our gear is like military inspired gear. So for example, we sewed some duffel bags. There's a YouTube video that we dropped today on this channel. Sometime this afternoon we dropped it. And you can get a camo duffel bag if you want to, but we also sell warfighter gear as well, and so all that good stuff. But if you like if you like camo, and or if you're in the military or you like militaria type gear, then some of our stuff might be for you. You may enjoy it. So we do have to trade out some thread here. Now we're about to see how you swap thread on a industrial sewing machine. So I never thread this machine. The fastest way to change colors is take the thread and cut it, whatever old color it was. In this case it was coyote brown. because most of the stuff that we sew is some form of brown. So OD green maybe, and I just tie these things together, and then what I'll do is I'll just take that and pull it through. So in this business, time is in fact money. And so I just pulled, I didn't have to rethread this machine. I just pull the black thread through. I take that, I cut it. The knot won't go through the eye of that needle. So the only thing that I actually have to thread is the needle itself. And I think this is about a size 20 needle. That's what we're using. So we just threaded that. But yeah, never you know, thread the machine. You know, if you take the thread out, don't do that. Make sure I need to change the bobbin. I keep a bunch of bobbins ready to go as well. And we can wind bobbins while we sew. So not too bad. Come out of there. There we go. Alright, let's see if we have some more questions here. Let's see here. Is that green thing a Nerf dart? I don't know what green thing we're talking about. What green thing? Oh, on the table. That is a lighter. Yeah. So part of the QC process when we sew, I just dropped that bobbin on the floor. Part of the QC process is when we cut thread, we go ahead and singe it with the lighter, and that's assuming that's going to be an external part that the customer can see. So that way we don't have to, you know, stop and cut threads, you know, have a station for doing that in the assembly line. So just go ahead and cut the thread as close as possible and then singe it with the lighter. So we'll go ahead and do that, and that's part of the QC process. So the sewer will also QC and all that kind of stuff. All right. But heck yeah. All right, first step, got this piece here, and we're going to put this foam pad inside, you know, the sling, but this will be the actual color, multicam black. So it's like black camo, pretty popular color for those who like multicam black. I happen to be a fan of multicam black on a lot of things. It rocks. I mean, it is like the ultimate grip. A lot of people like a black sling because they want to match their rifle, which is black. And but that multicam black, it has that new level of grip, man. It really is. So everyone loves multicam black in some form or fashion. So it is fashionable. We did a duffel this week in multicam black. That was delivered to a happy customer. And so things like duffels and stuff like that, they're all like made to order. But things like these slings, we keep a bunch of them here. And then whenever someone gets an order, we just take it off, pull it out of a box or whatever, and go with it. But yeah, this is the slowest part of sewing this particular item. It's getting started. Just kind of take it a little bit at a time. Just a little bit at a time, because we have to make sure that the material is taut. So I think I want to increase the stitch width a little bit. I notice it's sewing like really short stitches, And I want the stitches to be a little longer on this particular item. At least on this part that we're sewing. So we're just going to continue to go around this pad. We're going to keep pulling the fabric tight until we go all the way around it. We're going to bury the needle, make her turn, quilt everything here on the end, and we can go up the side. All while keeping everything taut. Let's see what kind of questions we have. Let's see here. Better for desert scenarios where I live. It's very hot and deserty. The best color for desert, actually they're discontinuing the multicam arid color, which is actually for deserts. However, the regular multicam works really well in the arid places anyway, because it's a brown dominant camouflage. Brown dominant camouflages will work just about anywhere anyway. I think the best camo for any kind of arid place is the Marpat. So it's what the U.S. Marines wear, the Marpat desert pattern. But here, I'll go get a multicam sling so you guys can see that. 1 second. Yeah, so here's a sling in regular multicam. So I'm sewing one in the black multicam right now. But you can see this is the pad. This is the multicam black. So it's like a black shaded camo. And then this is your regular multicam. And this would work in an arid place. Like there's a lot of browns in that. And I notice, you know, with multicam, if I'm in more of a brown dominant environment, more of the browns will show up in this camo pattern. However, if it's like, you know, late spring right now, springtime, early summer, all summer, everything greens up, then more of the green will actually pop out, and the person will blend in. This camo pattern literally is the best. I mean, it just is. Until they come out with something better, that camo pattern is the ish. It works. But yeah, you can see that our close cell foam is encapsulated, and we're gonna sew a top to that. I just gotta trim this. I did not finish cutting this out. So what we do is we just take a Sharpie marker and we cut out these pieces. We have templates for everything, and that way everything is sewn the same way every single time. So I'll put that on there, just like so. We're going to sew this. And of course, we're going to bind this all together with an edge tape. But without the edge tape, like, it will still be a complete sling. I know there's some companies out there that sew a sling very similar to this, and that edge tape holds it together. We just don't want to rely on the edge tape to hold a sling together. To us, like, that sling is like super important, and like, we actually have dudes who use these slings with, you know, like, for their jobs. Like law enforcement, military. So our stuff can't be falling apart on someone who's betting their life on using this stuff. high speed mode right there, man. All right, let's see. We got some more questions. Yeah, we are making a rifle sling. So this is what a rifle sling looks like without it attached to the rifle. I think due to YouTube's policies, we're not allowed to show guns on live, but people can do YouTube videos with guns in it, but just not on live. That's like a YouTube policy, so we could get apparently kicked or banned from YouTube. So, but all right, this is the second time I've answered this question today. But it says, do you make holsters? That's like an entirely different business, and I'll explain. Here we have a bunch of sewing machines. We sew nylon gear, and to make holsters, most holsters these days are made out of Kydex or some form of thermoplastic. And so to be a holster company, you need to just be a holster company. That's all that they should be making is holsters. When you see companies out there who sells nylon gear and holsters, chances are they're only making one of those things. Not to name any companies, but we actually sew the gear in-house that we sell. There are a lot of companies out there which actually do not actually make the stuff that they sell. We make the stuff that we sell. Yeah. But yeah, there's companies out there that can make a better holster than we can. I've made holsters before out of like Kydex. I think I'm much better at making this stuff. So, the heck yeah. Let's see here. Nerds with guns. You are looking for a custom leather one currently. All right. All right. So I know a custom leather maker. And what kind of handguns going in it, man? Snub nose 357 model 605. Okay, I'm not familiar with that, but 357 sounds pretty cool. All right, so check out Galco gun leather. Your chances of getting a leather holster for a revolver, I would say Galco, Galco. They make a lot of leather stuff, and they're good for mass produced leather stuff. It won't be like crappy leather at all, man. And I'm pretty sure their stuff is made here in the United States. They make like the Miami Classic shoulder holsters and stuff like that. You have seen them before, perhaps in movies, but they're actually really good holsters. I've had some Galco holsters before. Like when I carried leather, I do not carry leather. I like Kydex. So yeah, like a plastic holster. So that's what I use. And I do have some reasons for that decision. I'm not trying to sway you to use a Kydex holster though, but if leather's what you like, that's what you like. So. All right, next question. It says, do you make universal slings? Okay. So these slings, let me explain how ours works. If you go on our website, you can see it like actually attached to a rifle. You get this nice big pull handle. This part right here that I'm pulling on is the adjustment. So you can cinch it up really tight, or you can lift up on it to let it out. Okay, so that's basically how this works. So you pull on this, cinch it up, to tighten it. You get some tri-glides here on the end. You will need to purchase some QD swivels, and usually people who are about the guns and stuff and they have ARs, they would know how to attach that. It's with a tri-glide. However, you can feed this through the buttstock and lock it into place. I might do a video on that, not live because can't show stuff on video like that. But these are tactical slings. This is the sling that you need if you have an AR-15. It will work with the AK as well. So the thing about our slings is the pad is also adjustable. So some slings you get them and the rest of the sling parts and components are actually sewn. Our sling passes through the pad, so you can adjust where the pad rides on your neck in case you're like some big Jolly Green Giant. You can have it adjust to your liking, to whatever size you are. And so yes, the answer to your question was, are your slings universal? I would certainly say they're universal. Now, there are different kinds of slings. They make marksman slings. So if you're a shooter, like I was, I used to shoot service rifle. We used a M1907 sling. And that's because I was trying to shoot bullseyes and win. Alright, so I just want everyone to observe how much sewing has gone into just this pad. And Donald, I appreciate if you get a sling from us, man. Thank you so much. But there's a lot of sewing that goes into this pad before we even put the edge tape on, which is just going to cover up that raw edge right there. It's probably kind of hard to see, but there's just like raw cut edge, and we use edge tape to cover that up. Without the edge tape, this would still be a functional sling, and our sling won't fall apart. There's a lot of companies out there that rely on that edge tape to hold it together, and what they're trying to do is just sew it faster. And we actually are going to make 2 passes. So right here, this is our edge tape. It's a grosgrain webbing. If you ever looked at any tactical gear, you can see where they've used this binding tape. That's what some people who so call it. Grosgrain webbing. That's what some people call it. So I just kind of start it, and then we're going to feed it through this machine. So there's a little swing device that we use here, and I'll show you what it's going to do as soon as we get done. But basically I feed it, and this device is going to fold the webbing. It's going to fold it and apply the edge tape, and then that way I don't have to do it manually. So I'll get right there, and I'm going to cut it. So I'll show you kind of what we just did there. So this is our binding tape. It puts like a piece of webbing over it, so it folds it over and sews it at the same time. We'll actually fold that over. You'll never be able to see that part hanging out. But this side hasn't been done. This side here has been done. So that's how we do that. And the other thing about putting the binding tape on is this binding tape isn't just black, but it's also matching the color of our sling, which is multicam black. And if you notice, there are a couple places on this binding tape, let's see if I can find it, that it'll actually say multicam. So right there, for instance, let's see if I can get that into like right there, it says multicam. That way, the customer knows that we're actually using real multicam, like the real stuff, and we're not using knockoff stuff, which is also very important to our customer. We're using the real stuff, not any kind of copy. We're using the real deal. I am the real deal. And I'll show y'all some of this webbing here. I got the roll of it. That's what I'm sewing on right now. So it'll say multicam, and it is in multicam black. So that way you guys can see that. Alright, so as part of our QC, we'll take these ends. I think someone asked what the green thing on the table was a while ago. There's a lighter, and we singe the ends here. Nothing is ever going to fray. There's supposed to be a trash can on the other side of this table, and I'm going to be honest, a lot of the stuff never makes it to that trash can. We just have to pick it up off the floor anyway. Yeah. That's just the way it is. Alright, so a lot of companies only make one pass on their edge tape. We're going to make another pass. That way, none of our stuff is going to run the risk of ever coming apart. If it did, that's still Like, we still have a solid sling though. It's never gonna jeopardize the sling. So I'm gonna come here. We're gonna make our second pass. I might need to sew a tad slower just to ensure that I get that nice line that we're looking for. Make sure that we're getting enough thread coverage. Get to the end here, I need to fold up the next side. Our stuff is overbuilt. When someone says they don't build them like they used to, that's us. We're going to be the ones who take the time to build it the right way. We're going to put that second line of stitching in it, that third line, whatever is necessary. We're going to lock these stitches in place. Alright, so when we cut these threads, these are going to be on a possible part that the customer will be able to see. So we're going to cut them as close as possible. And then we're going to singe it with that lighter. And then that way we have that part QC'd. So as you can see, this might be a little hard to see on camera. Let me get a light on the seam. There we go. But there is 2 passes of stitching on that edge tape. And so if you have an operator with this sling who, you know, goes up against a brick wall or something like that, and it gets into that stitch and possibly cuts it, there's a second line of stitching. The type of thread we use and the size of thread actually does matter when you're making tactical gear. Not a lot of people who are starting out in this business understand this, but the type of thread we use sinks into the fabric. That way, if any of this material abrades onto like concrete or a brick wall, you got operators who are in a brick building and they're squeezing through doorways and stuff doing their CQB, and you know, some stuff rubs up against the concrete real hard. The Cordura will make contact, but not the thread, because it's actually sunk in or recessed. It's really hard to tell on camera, but that thread is in there. Very, very important. Super important. So right now, we're getting some tri-glides off the floor. And we're going to sew how the actual sling itself would pass through the pad. And to be honest, I would probably have this sling done by now. However, I enjoy talking to everyone. We're about 35 minutes in. The other point of these videos is we want people to realize that we actually make this stuff here. None of this stuff is, you know, outsourced. We don't have some company somewhere overseas sewing this stuff and then, you know, have it shipped in town and we jack up the price, even though, you know, there are companies out there that do that, and they're doing it because there's cheaper labor. The other part of that story, and not a lot of people realize this, but if you look around and you go around town on a daily basis, why don't you ask how many people who actually know how to sew, if they can sew? And like, how many of you people right now can sew? How many of you can actually sew on a professional level? I don't mean like sewing buttons on a shirt or, you know, anything like that. Like, can you sew? Like, if you got a job here, would you be able to sew what I'm sewing and not take all day doing it? See, that's the other thing. You know, you can't take all day doing this stuff either. So. Got to know how to sew. I get a lot of people who ask for a job, and we have to teach people how to do things sometimes. We have to teach them how to do it our way, the way we want it done. You can't go into a job and do things your way. That's a good way to get fired real quick. But if I have someone that suggests, hey, what if we did it this way? Well, I'm gonna listen. And then maybe after some trial, I might see, okay, it makes sense. I have told people though that's a dumb idea. And you know, every time we do something and or have a reason for something, and we need to change, there should be a why. Like, why do we need to make this change? And with sewing, if you can sew it better and faster and stronger, then those would be some reasons to make a change. We're not going to cut reliability though to sew something faster or cheaper. So there's that tri-glide right there. So we'll sew on the other side, and then the pad for the sling will be finished. So these little steps right here, these can be tedious. You know, trying to put a bunch of parts underneath the sewing machine at one time. So here on this particular part, I choose to sew the machine in reverse, and the reason for that is I can't turn and have the back of the presser foot of this machine up against this tri-glide. You won't be sewing very much. So once I get far enough from that tri-glide, I can pick the presser foot up, I'll make a turn, and then I can finish sewing this. Looks excellent. So this is a part a customer will be able to see. So when we cut these threads, we'll cut them as close as possible, and then we're going to singe it with the lighter. So everything is QC'd as we go along. All right, so the pad of this sling is finished. All right, and we'll lay that part down, and the next part, so here's another sling. Next part that we have is going to be our straps. So we do have one strap is longer than the other. I need to figure out which one's which. So let's see. All right, so this is the back strap. So we'll set it that one. Let me singe this real quick. this lighter's fixing to go. I have to go get another tri-glide. Well, we have boxes over there full of this stuff. So, alright, long strap time. So basically when we sew the long strap, we're sewing a box X stitch. So pretty standard. Usually in a company that produces a lot of mass-produced type stuff, this will be done by like an automated machine. And I don't have any automated machines here. Probably never will. You really don't need them if you're not pumping out a lot of the exact same thing, like the same exact thing. You'd have to program the machine, but I'll show y'all what a box X stitch looks like when I get done with this. So at this point, I'll go ahead and clip the threads. So just kind of stop what I'm doing and I'll clip those threads there. Because what will eventually happen is they'll get in your way. I need to increase the tension just a little bit. And then back this part up. And then we'll make our turn. Alright, there it is. So like, I don't need an automated machine to sew a bunch of those of what I just sewed. So it's a stitch, and I know the lighting's a little tough in here, but right there. So it's basically an X inside of a box. That's what you call your box X stitch. Yep, that lighter's gone. I'll have to go get another one, but I'll deal with that later. Alright, next part. I'm gonna need the slider and the short strap. And we'll have to sew another box X. there's the slider. There's the second box X stitch on there. And now we're going to attach the handle. So this is the pull handle. We give everyone a really large, generous pull handle. And when you're trying to operate a fighting rifle sling under duress, you need to have an actual, sling. Like for fighting, it needs to have large handles on it that you can grab. So, but not too big that they get hung up and stuff on stuff. But all of our gear has been extensively tested, so we want to make sure that it works. I've had some people before, like they contacted us talking about, hey, send me a sample so I can test your gear. Like, it's already been tested. We got real military and law enforcement dudes that are testing our stuff right now. Okay, so now we're going to put this whole thing together, the whole contraption, and we will be done. So the short strap, that's what it's called. It'll go through the long strap. It'll go up and through the adjuster, just like so. And then we have a stuffer over here where we stuff the sling into the pad. So we grab that. So before I do this, I do want to make sure we're not twisted. Alright, so we're going to go through the tri-glide, through like so. Pull that all the way through. Take our stuffer, and there's a channel that the sling will go through into the pad. And so like our sling is a complete sling, and we just stuff it through the pad, which we spent all that time sewing when we first started. So like if this thing here, like it's just not ever gonna break. Like you'd have to like try to break it, but under normal use it should be fine. One part goes on the sling, there's some other parts that will keep it functional, so which is what we want. 2 is 1, 1 is none. There you go. So there's our sling. It's complete. It's 8:52 now. So if you want one of these slings, you can go to the website here, Small Arms Combatives. The link is also in the description. We have available multicam black. So everyone, I appreciate all of you watching this tonight. It has been a pleasure. I do appreciate everyone who has contributed to the conversation tonight. We had a lot of great conversations. So if you want one of these slings, all you got to do is visit our website. It's on that poster behind me, but smallarmscombatives.com. That link is also in the description of this video. The name of the YouTube channel is Small Arms Combatives, as you can see. That might be a hint that that's probably what the website is called as well. It is the name of our business. But right here is one awesome multicam black sling. If you're into the super drippy multicam black, you can only get the sling here. We also offer multicam as well. So if you have a fighting rifle and you need a real man sling to go on that rifle, this is the sling. No other company knows slings quite like we do. I was a service rifle shooter, so to me the sling was one of the most important aspects and accessories on that rifle. Training is also an accessory to all of your gear. So we do also offer training classes as well, and teaching people how to shoot. So if you want to come learn actually how to use a sling in order to increase your accuracy on a target, you can also contact us for those needs as well, and we'll show you how to set up this sling on a fighting rifle. So this is Small Arms Combatives, everyone. Please join us next Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here in North Carolina in the good old United States of America. And I do appreciate everyone for watching tonight. Everyone have a good night. Over and out.